Hey, it's B Dollar again, and welcome to my Friday night Smackdown review. A little bit earlier than usual. Obviously, Smackdown is in a different country. Well, WWE will be on a different country for, I guess, a minute now. So, with different countries, it's different time zones. And this came on like about, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. So, I had to avoid the internet for the past few hours until I could actually sit down and watch the show. And hey, I did a good job of doing that. So, at least I saw everything spoiler free. Basically, just stay off YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram, or any type of social media. Because if I click on it or turn it on, it's already gonna pop up right in front of me, and I'm gonna be spoiled then. But yes, they were in Berlin, Germany. SmackDown. So let's get right into it. We obviously started off with Randy Orton headed to the ring. Randy Orton obviously getting a big pop, fans singing his theme song. Before he could even come out and cut his promo, Trick Williams came out. Fans actually did chant whoop that trick, so they obviously did watch NXT, but it was a lot of boos out there still, still at the same time. I could have swore I probably heard a few, who are your chants, but then again, I'm not going to understand what they're saying in Berlin, so obviously it's a different language, so I probably got to look up translation to some of these things they chanted. But Trick basically, he did his whole shtick out there, and now he said everybody loves Trick Willie and everything. And Orton basically went on and says, you know what? I know a star when I see one. You got a gift of gab, but I wonder if you have any brains to go along with what you're saying. Trick basically said, I respect you, Randy Orton, and you've done a lot in this business and everything, but this is my time. I'm here to put you on notice and all that stuff. And this is not the year of the Viper, it's the year of Trick Williams. And basically, like Orton said he didn't know what they were really teaching you down there in NXT. But here's the thing, you don't turn your back on a Viper. But he's going to let that one pass and everything. Because you say you want to let's talk about it. How about I kick your ass next time? Trick threw his microphone down. Then he knocked Orton's out of his hands. Orton punched him. Orton, ended up doing like his draping DDT on him then right after. He's going to set up for the RKO, but Miz ended up attacking from behind. He tried to go for the skull crushing finale, but Orton ended up hitting with an RKO in the end. And basically walked to the back then as Dragon Lee was making his entrance. Basically, he bumped fists with Dragon Lee telling Lee to go kick Trick's ass. I will say this. Obviously, they see a lot in Trick right now. Given his debut on SmackDown last week, they had him out there with Sami Zayn, and people popped for him there. And they put him, like I said, they put him with top guys. They put him out there with Sami Zayn. They put him out there with Randy Orton. So obviously, they have a lot of stock into Trick, and given he's on SmackDown, obviously I believe this will help him. Like I said, hopefully it's for the best. I know it's a lot of NXT call-ups right now, but given recent WWE booking, I don't want to get my hopes too high. And given that SmackDown is 3 hours, I will say this: SmackDown should never went back to 3 hours. I don't know why they wanted to do this. They did it months ago and it did not work, and I promise you it probably will not work again. That's one thing about me seeing this show later on. I was able to skip a lot of things on this show I didn't care about too. So we'll get into that in a second. But no, this show should have never went back to 3 hours. I will sit there and keep saying that. But moving on, though, we did have Trick Williams and Ray Phoenix. A pretty good match to kick off the show. Very competitive, I will say that. I did enjoy it. It did end up with Phoenix. I know he dodged Trick's Uranagi and reversed into like a pin. Trick ended up reversing again while holding on to the tights, which obviously I figured Trick Williams is going to win. This is his first match on SmackDown, so they want to establish him as being one of the new heels, on the roster right now. So him holding on to the tights, like I said, it makes sense. It's his first match. He got the win right here. I didn't really think he was going to win clean. Like I said, he's a heel, so they want to obviously establish him as a heel right now, especially putting him out there, for the past couple weeks now with two big faces, as in Randy Orton and Sami Zayn. So I would say it's a good start for Trick right now, so we'll see what happens later on. Next, they talked to Kiana James and Julia in the back. I guess it's a U.S. women's title match tonight. Hopefully this crowd kind of cares, because they sure as hell did not care last week when they put the belt back on Julia, which I don't know how far this was going to go, because it did not work the first time. Will it work the second time? Time will tell, I guess I should say. They did talk to Damian Priest, talking about his match with Aleister Black. Finally, this feud is over. For 6 months, they've only had like 4, but now 5 matches thanks to the ambulance match. But now it's finally over, and Priest's hurt, but obviously he's gonna keep an eye out for that WWE title match between Cody and McIntyre. McIntyre showed up. They said, "You know what? I hope you do win because we have some unfinished business. The last time we faced, I scrambled your head in and stuff. So, if you get through the 3 stages of hell and all that stuff, I'll see you soon." Drew basically talked about he wants to become WWE. He has to become WWE champion tonight. He's got Dusty's watching all that stuff, and then Cody, he's gonna screw this up one way or another, and everything. So he said he will be WWE champion tonight. What else? It was Julia versus Alexa Bliss for the U.S. Women's title. I'm gonna be honest, I did not care while watching this match, nor did the crowd. It looked like all I remember was like Kiana James getting involved several times. Bliss set up the Sister Abigail, but Kiana ended up climbing onto the ropes in the apron. For some reason, Bliss didn't even still go with the finisher and still ended up just doing like a DDT onto Julia. Then why didn't she just do the Sister Abigail right there? I don't know. But Bliss ended up punching James. Then she ended up going to the top rope. Next, Lash Legend ended up pushing her off the top rope, and Julia hit her finisher, still retaining the U.S. Women's title. Right after Lash Legend and the Fridge got in the ring, then they beat up Bliss. I guess Charlotte couldn't make it because she has a cold, but hey, that flu is going around pretty bad right now. So take your day and night, Quill, if you're sick out there, because that flu is nothing to mess with. But yeah, they end up hitting like the Annihilator onto Bliss. Jax did. So not much I could say from here. Obviously, Charlotte and Bliss was probably gonna end up in a tag match with Jax and Lash, which I'm surprised this feud. Well, I shouldn't even say this feud is still going, because what? You think it would have been after, done after War Games at Survivor Series, but no, half the people, well, mostly everybody in that match are still feuding with each other right now. So expect more from that. Next, Magnus was in the back talking to Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace is officially now part of SmackDown. She's now part of the roster. Chelsea Green came and complained, won her U.S. Women's title match back. Alba Fire ended up arguing with Jordynne Grace, and then it was going to be a match later on. Kit Wilson was pissed off about his opponent last week, given it was like a returning Matt Cardona. It's not Zack Ryder anymore. It's say, you're toxic and stuff, as Magnus walked away. Matt Cardona was interviewed. Matt Cardona is now part of SmackDown roster after last week. He is not Zack Ryder. It talked about how he got his way back into WWE. Gotta give Matt Cardona credit. He found some way to get back into WWE after many times he damn near been begging to go back and wondering why they would not call him back. And I kind of figured after this whole TNA partnership and stuff, and he was in a few weeks ago back at the Cena tournament thing. I guess they now has finally decided to re-sign him back to the company. And he talked about he's been gone for 6 years and he reinvented himself and he's back. He even said hi to Cody Rhodes then. And he says, I'm not just back to be back. I want to be back and I want that WWE title. So once you finish with Drew later on tonight, I want a shot at that title. As the show went on, the Wyatt Six went against Discount Bloodline out there, or the MFTs. I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to this feud, listen, at this point with the Wyatt Six, they're just a Bray Wyatt tribute band, okay? Listen, I don't really gotta care what they do or this feud, honestly. Even people I know that were big Bray Wyatt fans will sit and tell you that this whole Wyatt, I called them Slipknot at this point, because they're basically like that band Slipknot. But listen, man, it's not the same thing. Hey man, I'm sorry what happened to Bray Wyatt and everything, but Bo Dallas is not his brother, okay? I think anybody can sit there and tell you that. And honestly, as this match went on, this 8-man tag team match, it ended up with Solo grabbing the lantern, which distracted Uncle Howdy, and Tama did his reverse hidden blade finisher, and Hikuleo hit a big boot then. No, not a big boot, but no, Hikuleo hit a big boot, and then Tama hit like that reverse the Will Ospreay move, hidden blade, reverse hidden blade, or damn it, fucking Ricochet spirit gun, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the MFTs went over and they took the lantern with them. So obviously, this feud is going to continue on. My God, I kind of forgot the Wyatt Six were even still the tag team champions. Hey, that tells you to stay in the tag team division right now on SmackDown when you look at it. So it's not like the Wyatt Six are really doing anything with these tag belts right now, other than feuding with Solo and them. Will it end? I don't know. Carmelo Hayes is walking by. Miz talked about he's going to become a 3-time Grand Slam champion. I'm not going to do your open challenge tonight after what Orton did to him earlier on. And then he says, "Oh, is that right? Ain't that right, Randy?" And then, Miz kind of looked and then he walked off then. Ilya Dragunov showed up and Hayes went on to say, it'd be an honor if you accept this open challenge tonight. But Dragunov said, "Listen, we'll meet again at some point, but I got something different in mind right now." Jordan Grace went against Alba Fire. Jordan Grace won pretty fast, obviously, doing like a torture rack power bomb. I guess she's not doing the Grace Driver. Is this her new finisher? I don't know. But basically, quick dominant work from Jordan Grace. Right after that, Jade Cargill came out and he says, "You think you did something and you think you special? Listen, this is my show and I'm that bitch." Basically, like I said, at this point with Jade, she's just doing everything she did in AEW when she was a heel and saying that bitch show a lot. At least he has some competition right now, because honestly, ever since Jade became champion, there's literally no competition for her. Okay, so what? You beat up Mia Yim and B-Fab there, and apparently they're legitimately injured. I guess they were in a match with her during like the holiday tour, so I believe they're out right now. And what? You beat up Chelsea Green a bunch of times, which I guess you just damn near call Chelsea Green face in a way because people like her. But then again, there's literally no one else on SmackDown. Charlotte and them in a tag team. Bliss is in a tag team. Bridge is in a tag team. Lash just got there. You don't really have a lot of people. Okay, so Jordan Grace, at least there's some competition. Me personally, I know you probably heard me say this during the end of the year review. I think Bianca needs to face Jade next. Whenever Bianca comes back, I still think Bianca will return to Royal Rumble and win the Rumble to face Jade at WrestleMania. But hey, that's a shot in the dark right there with that prediction. But I've already said it a few times now, and I'm going to say that again. So we'll see what happens with that. But Jordan Grace now probably in a feud with Jade. We'll see what happens. Honestly, Jordan Grace should have been on the main roster a while ago, okay? I know she was in NXT for a minute, and I can't say her NXT run was the greatest that was going down there, especially in recent times with her moping around saying, "I can't beat any rookies." But at this point, good. Send her to the main roster. It's like a lot of people say, when they send you to like NXT, especially if you come from a different big company and everything, whether it be, AEW, New Japan, TNA, they got to get that, some say they got to get that indie stink off you or whatever stink from the last company and learn that WWE style when you want to look at it. But, excuse me. But basically right here, like I said, Grace now on the main roster, but she probably should have been on there a while ago. Sami Zayn was backstage being interviewed. Talked about Drew McIntyre. Now he has never beaten Drew McIntyre. So he hopes he does win the WWE title tonight. Might as well call Sami Zayn a fortune teller for saying that, but we'll get to that in a second. Carmelo Hayes was getting ready for his open challenge. Nathan Frazier was warming up, and I guess Axiom was right there. And I wonder why he wasn't in his gear. And I guess he figured out it was Gargano. No Ciampa around, but apparently Ciampa may be leaving the company. Next thing you know, Gargano and Candice LeRae attacked Frazier. Axiom the real Axiom, end up, chasing him off then as he checked on his partner. Carmelo Hayes' opponent for the U.S. Open Challenge was Shinsuke Nakamura. I will say this about Shinsuke Nakamura before we actually get into this match. They really should have let Shinsuke Nakamura go to Wrestle Kingdom last week, back at the Tokyo Dome. Given that I saw him on SmackDown last week for that 1-minute promo with Tama Tonga, I figured he was not going to be at Hiroshi Tanahashi's big retirement, his last match at the Tokyo Dome. Obviously, WWE is kind of petty for that. Especially, obviously, IPs and, contracts and stuff, and they don't want nobody showing up on, New Japan Pro Wrestling, especially from WWE and whatnot. And I heard Shinsuke say he did everything in his power for him to be there. I know people thought Shinsuke Nakamura was going to be Hiroshi Tanahashi's final opponent, but I knew that was never going to happen, okay? It just wasn't. Like, he's in WWE. You know how WWE works. You know they were never going to let that happen. So, it was still great with Okada, which obviously was fitting for Tanahashi to go against Okada in his last match. I'm sure people would have liked if it was Nakamura, the Three Musketeers between him, Tanahashi, and Shibata. But I just knew they were never going to let him go. Is it petty? Yeah. Do I think he really should have been at the ceremony after what I saw at Wrestle Kingdom? Yeah, they should have let Nakamura go. Because it's not like Nakamura was really doing anything right now anyways on SmackDown. So I just thought it was very petty that they did not let him go to be part of the whole ceremony. Especially given everybody that showed up there last Saturday, Sunday in Japan, and who came out there and stuff. I think they could have let Nakamura go. Like I really do believe they could have, but hey, they decided not to. As for the match itself with Nakamura and Carmelo Hayes, very enjoyable match. Really good stuff. Um, like I said, I don't really have much to really bad to say about it. Like I said, it was just a really good match. Nakamura obviously went for the Kinshasa. Um, Carmelo Hayes dodged it with like what the first 48, and then he hit the nothing but net. The big leg drop from the top rope, and still retained the U.S. title. And both of them shook hands. So, very good match. One thing I'll say about this match was that Nakamura was hitting so many damn dragon screws out there. I swear I counted damn near 10. I'm like, you might as well destroy Carmelo Hayes' leg at this point. Will that be a play into as the open challenge thing goes on, and he'll start getting beat up and stuff and fatigue? What happened? I don't know. I will say this. For some reason, I always thought Nakamura was going to go out there and hit a high fly flow at one point, because I know I saw Tanahashi do the Boomye knee Kinshasa as tribute and stuff. So I almost thought that was going to happen, but hey, it didn't happen. Right after that, Magnus basically talked about qualifying matches for next week on SmackDown, and that whoever will qualify in a fatal 4-way match at Saturday night's main event, and whoever wins that fatal 4-way match at Saturday night's main event will get a shot at the WWE title at the Royal Rumble. But now we finally get to the main event, the 3 stages of hell for the WWE title. Cody Rhodes versus Drew MCINTYRE. A very pro Drew MCINTYRE crowd, obviously you could see throughout the entire night. But the 3 matches, I will say, for the 3 stages of hell match, obviously the first match is going to be a standard match, then the second match is going to be a falls count anywhere, and then the third match was going to be a steel cage match. Obviously the first match went very fast, so I kind of figured it was going to, be something like that to, pass by the time and everything. So with the first of the standard match, it ended up being, Cody. He ended up trying to pull Drew MCINTYRE from like the turnbuckle and everything. MCINTYRE pulled off the turnbuckle pad. The referee ended up focusing on the turnbuckle pad, and then Drew just ended up kicking Cody in the nuts, and then the Claymore kick on him, which this, like the first fall was like about 3 to 4 minutes, so it didn't really go that long. Right after that, it was the Falls Count Anywhere match then, which Drew ended up powerbombing Cody through a Slim Jim table after that. Tried to cover him. They fought into the crowd then. They fought through like the arena up onto like the balcony of the seat. Cody ended up like even taking somebody's phone, taking like a selfie and biting Drew's head then. And as they kept fighting, they ended up going to some backstage area then. Drew ended up using a chair onto Cody twice. He ended up trying to kick Cody. Was going to kick Cody's head and everything, but Cody got up out of it and started going back after him. He threw him into like the garage door several times backstage until they got to the front. They fought by a table. Drew was going to powerbomb on it, but Cody ended up jumping on like to the stand, putting Drew onto the table, and then Cody climbed up to like the balcony part of like of the arena, everything, did a big frog splash. I'm surprised it just wasn't 3 from there, but Drew immediately kicked out. They fought back to ringside then, which Cody ended up putting Drew onto the announce table and hit him with not 3, but a crossroads on the announce table, so it's 1-1 after that. The third stage was the steel cage match then, which both guys end up getting into the ring then. Cody ended up hitting like a crossroads. Obviously he's exhausted, but it was a near fall after that. Cody tried to go for like another couple crossroads and went for a third one, but Drew ended up raking his eyes. Then there was some blood coming from Cody's head. Drew ended up throwing him into like to the exposed turnbuckle. Then that was from earlier, and then hit him with the Claymore kick, but still Cody kicked out. Drew ended up trying to climb the cage, but Cody stopped him then. And then they got to the top of the cage, kept punching on each other until like Cody had like a big super cutter from the top cage onto the back into the ring, which was still a 2 count. That was pretty crazy. Next thing you know, both of them end up climbing up the cage then by the ropes, and they end up hitting each other into the nuts then onto the ropes, which both fell to the ground. Drew ended up crawling his way to try to get out of the cage, but someone with like a hoodie and mask showed up then, and it was Jacob Fatu. We haven't seen Jacob Fatu in the past few months, given I guess he had like dental surgery if I'm not mistaken, but they wrote him off several months ago. And then next thing you know, Jacob Fatu ended up attacking Drew MCINTYRE, just kept beating him up, catching. I guess Drew was the one that took out Jacob several months ago, and then Cody tried to get Jacob off, but then Jacob ended up going after Cody then, and as Cody and Jacob kept fighting each other, Drew ended up just kind of slipping his way out of the cage, and now finally won the WWE title, which Jacob even looked on like what just happened, and then Cody ended up like pushing Jacob into like the cage then, and he's pissed off. So obviously a lot of things happened right here. One, I felt like Drew McIntyre had to beat Cody right here because this was the third match at this point. Okay, and Cody's already had 2 over Drew, so it was like 2-0. So I was like, if Drew doesn't win it here, then I didn't know what to say after this. And obviously, yeah, they did protect Cody right here by bringing Jacob Fatu back, because now it's going to be a lot of questions going into this now. Because let's remember, Sami Zayn did say like he never beat Drew McIntyre, so I still think Sami Zayn will win the Royal Rumble, and he may end up facing Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania for the WWE title. Where does Cody go from here? I don't know. Will he get a rematch? I don't know. Obviously, it won't be at the Royal Rumble. Maybe he has to win Elimination Chamber to get the WWE title back. I'm not really sure, or get a shot at it. Not sure where that's going to happen there. I don't know. Or now are we going to see a feud between Cody and Jacob, or like Cody, Jacob, and Drew McIntyre for the title? Where this is all going to fit, I don't know. But obviously it was a bit of a newsworthy main event right here. Still a great main event, especially to end off the show, which, like I said, the crowd was definitely with Drew McIntyre throughout a lot of this match. They were really not with Cody. Like, they were with Cody, but he was getting booed throughout the entire night. Every time they kept showing him on the screen. So I felt Drew had to win. It was now or never at this point. If he didn't win right here, I didn't know what to say. But other than that, other than the 3 stages of hell match, Drew winning the WWE title, Jacob being back into the fold of things now, Jordan Grace is now officially part of SmackDown roster. Yeah, there's a few important things, Orton out there with Trick, and Trick versus Rey Fenix, Trick making his debut SmackDown match. So yeah, a lot of things happened on SmackDown tonight. So like I said, I figured Drew had to win the title from here. But like I said, this was a pretty great show. I will say that for SmackDown, especially like I say, it's a different country, so the crowd's always gonna be hot. So it's like with last week about SmackDown. SmackDown was really good last week. I don't think I expected it to be great every week, especially for long. Given this show is 3 hours and it drags a lot, but given this show came on a different country, I was able to skip a lot of things, so I didn't have to sit through commercials and a whole bunch of stuff I did not care about to make the time go faster. So yeah, what will be happen when it goes back to just regular 7 o'clock next week? I don't know, or whatever time it is in London, I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. Other than that, though, that is my review of Friday Night Smackdown. Comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, HoodNight890. We are out of here. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and yeah, peace out.